Okay, so this is Hellraiser,
Yes.
which is the first film by filmmaker Clive Barker, and is obviously based on his novella The Hellbound Heart, and it's pretty different to it. It's a little less explicit, obviously.
Yeah, the book actually goes into...
Just no longer.
This
This is one of my favourite movies. I'm just going to say that right now.
As is mine. I honestly didn't even know that Clive Barker directed this until I was told. I didn't think a writer could be someone who writes novels could be a good director too.
Yeah, well, I know he kind of sees himself just as a general artist because he paints and everything as well. It's one of those multi-talented people that makes you incredibly jealous and angry.
Yeah, I hate everyone that's more talented than me. That's why I hate you and Damien so much.
That's why I hate everyone I meet. So, shall we talk a little bit
about the actual movie here?
About the movie? You're seeing this for the first time, aren't you, Damien?
Actually, no, I just X'd it out.
You bastard. Okay, we'll give you the play-by-play then. Flesh is being rendered... Nah, it won't be. Christopher Young, fun fact, he did the soundtrack for another movie that I actually enjoy. Not nearly as much, Sinister, and Sinister being one of my favorites, having my favorite score when it comes to horror movies. Very disgusting and visceral, and yet quiet at the same time. And he does a great job here in number 2. Well, we'll get to number 2 eventually at some point if you feel like it. I was kind of confused here initially in this scene because I didn't know what role that the salesman here played in keeping the box, because we see him at the end too. So is he a servant of the box or a servant of the Cenobites? I don't quite get it.
Well, way to go, Vince. You just killed Mike.
I'm wondering.
Oh, bloody hell! I was on mute. That was my problem.
Did you answer my question?
This entire sequence, that beginning there and this part here, is all kind of... It's extraordinary storytelling because it's almost entirely visual. There's so little being said. It's just told through visuals.
Yeah.
I always love that if it's done correctly. Christopher Young's music as well, which is used in the entire series, is just great here.
I don't think you count the entire series as the first 3 movies, because I think the only 2 movies I've heard him in. Then again, I don't remember much for the other 4, which are all terrible.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of the sequels. I'll probably end up talking about those later when there's some more dead time. This guy who plays Frank I think he's from either England or somewhere sort of with a similar dialect, so like New Zealand or somewhere, and his American voice is actually dubbed by another actor.
Oh yeah, his voice doesn't really seem to fit him. Seems to okay.
Yeah.
I'll say right now that effect looks very silly for some reason.
Whoa.
Just flesh tearing into
It's
tan.
very dated, yeah.
But it's still very effective because it's just the context of the scene, really. Oh God!
I find this entire sequence here very disturbing. You've got the hedonism there with the 2 little sort of like ornamental lovers, and then the cockroach.
Yeah, and
very creepy.
It really is amazing. Like you can actually argue a symbolic value too, where it kind of sums up who Frank was as a person, someone who sought pleasure and was still very kind of grimy.
I think part of what scared people so much about this film, I think it's obviously incredibly masochistic. It is absolutely just dripping with that. I think as a film in the 80s, kind of at the height of, certainly here in Britain, the height of the AIDS scare, when people didn't really know what it was and it was just everywhere, it seemed. This movie about kind of sexual excess and its destructive power over you, I think struck a chord with a lot of people, and people found it very frightening.
Well, I don't think, because there are some people that, by the way, this scene, like we've already discussed that this effect hasn't aged well, because what does he have skin on his eyes too? And that came off when they got his face ripped off. But other than that, I think there's the strength of a movie like this is that even people can't read into something, and what you mentioned is evident throughout the entire movie. But there are some people who don't see it that way, and what they see is just still a genuinely frightening and well-made movie. So even if you don't get the context of what's happening, you can still it's still effective. And that goes with great direction.
I think so, because it's a well-made film.
Mm-hmm.
Right then, the production design, just on that room where it's all bare that we just saw, and the sort of wallpaper, and the window, it's just a nice design. The house, it looks very nice, it's lit very well, and it just has a certain atmosphere to it that horror films kind of lack today.
Yeah, I think, and it's not a case. This isn't a haunted house movie I was about to mention, but it kind of goes with a point. And when you look at this house, you look at some of the interiors, you remember subconsciously parts of it. The house itself has a presence, and it becomes a character in itself. And that's what you need to do when it comes to building an atmosphere, when most of the scenes take place in this house. This one, I forgot this actress's name. Do you remember? I forgot.
Which character?
The actress right here. She played...
I don't know what the actors' names are because I don't have IMDb open in front of me.
Okay.
But I know the character is. I think she's either Julia or it might just be Julie, the woman.
All right, I'll look it up.
I don't know what the man is called. She'll probably address him by name.
I'll look it up right now. Because the actress right here, and I'll look it up right now. She was actually supposed to be the antagonist for the rest of the series and kind of cancel out Pinhead.
Yes.
And I actually,
yeah.
I wouldn't mind that because she does an incredible job in this movie and the next. It's a shame that she didn't want to stick around. But to each their own.
She was supposed to be the Freddy Krueger of the series, wasn't she?
Well, we needed a female slasher.
I think the public.
Right here, Claire Higgins, I think her name is.
Yes, Claire Higgins, that's it.
Beautiful woman too. Just
absolutely, and it's very nice, obviously. But how much nudity she does in this movie.
Yeah, see, Megan Fox, she can be beautiful without being topless.
Yeah, but I think she has a very kind of powerful screen presence. She is the kind of 80s power dressing kind of woman, and
I don't know.
She's a great villain, I think.
I don't know. Something about her eyes also kind of draws me, and her and what's his name? Sheen Chapman, I think, is as Frank. And
yeah.
You look at Sheen Chapman, and he looks. You generally feel sorry for him that anything bad happens to him because he seems like you're a goofy everyman, but it's played well enough to where it's not over the top. And that's what you kind of want in it.
I like this kind of
go ahead.
Rotten food and everything. It kind of lets you know that he was just living out his life when he went and did this. With the lament configuration in the room where he was dragged into the Cenobite dimension.
Can you turn that down, please?
He was probably just having his lunch and then just went off to do this kind of very kind of self-flagellating. Sexual act, and was completely, ripped apart and destroyed. And I like that they just had the kind of idea to have everything kind of rotten and destroyed.
I don't really quite understand what she was screaming about up there. Maybe she was. I think the idea was supposed to be that she had some kind of subconscious hope that Frank was still in the house or something.
Yeah. I think so.
Again, I think there's one reviewer in particular. I don't remember. It was on Blip, and he was he was reviewing this movie positively, which I always appreciate positive reviews of this movie. But he was saying that he didn't get the why she was so attracted to Frank. And spoiler warning, that's going to be coming up. But and I think he was kind of missing out on the themes that were present with. And it'll show later on where she's sitting at the dinner table and how she reacts to, or rather her physical reactions with everyone. And you can tell that it's a happy life. She's bored.
I just want to point out Ashley Lawrence, who's just been on the screen. She'll be back in a moment. This, I believe, was actually her first motion picture. And I think she does a great job.
Oh, she does it. I have to say this is an inherent natural acting ability, because I do see some signs, like when we see in later scenes, and I don't particularly blame her. It's the guy playing her boyfriend. I don't even want to remember his name because of how bland he was. But it seemed like he drained the charisma out of her in that one scene. They had no chemistry.
I do like the sort of scenes with him later on, though. There's some funny stuff. One little change from the novella, of course, is Kirsty's his friend in the novella, isn't she? Rather than his daughter.
I think
it's his friend who kind of has a slight crush on him.
Yeah, I think now that they can. And normally I would be apprehensive towards changes like that, but what can I say when Clive Barker wrote the book and he directed and wrote the movie, so it's...
I think the advantage you have when you adapt your own source material is you can look back and just pick out the things that didn't work.
Yeah.
And also, I think Clive is very kind of aware of how different mediums work, because he works in so many of them. So he's able to say, well, in a story that works, but it's not cinematic. You know. For example, in the novella, the lead Cenobite, who would later be known as Pinhead by the public, spoke with a woman's voice, whereas in this they have Doug Bradley, who's I believe I don't know if he was RSC, but I know he's a Shakespearean, classically trained actor with a very deep and powerful voice.
I know he was speaking,
which is not anything like what's described in the book.
He's speaking with he's in an American slight American accent here, though, right? Or does his accent slip through? I never really noticed it. Doug Bradley.
Doug Bradley. No, I believe Doug Bradley speaks with his native British accent in this.
Well, maybe I can't notice it because of the voice is so powerful, and I think it's that voice. If they had actually gone with the voice from the novelette as you described it, I don't think he would have had the tremendous presence he had in here, or he wouldn't have as much of a dramatic presence. And it seems like this kind of cement what makes this movie work, and it's these quiet, slow moments where it's just between the horror, just her walking along the
This
theater.
architecture is just great.
Yeah. And honestly, I never would have guessed, because when people think of a writer or an author who directed a movie of his own work, the first thing that unfortunately comes to mind is Stephen King. And don't get me wrong, I like Stephen King as an author. It's just he doesn't understand that, like Barker does, like you explained, some things don't translate well to film, and they need to be cut out and it's not even for the sake of the story, it's for the sake of keeping interest. Like, you can't have characters saying word for word everything that's happening in the movie, and it just doesn't work that way.
No.
But Clive,
it's visual, of course. So you have an entire new method of communicating your story and your themes. You have visuals, you have words, and you also have performance. You have the music, you have the inflections of the actors. You have so much at your disposal. I think this is why I love film so much, is that you have so many tools at your disposal to convey what it is you want to convey.
I'm sorry, I'm listening to him, but I'm also distracted by this guy's eyebrows.
I love these guys who are obviously English. Oh my goodness, that is extreme. I love how so many obvious English people are in this with badly dubbed American voices. It's so surreal.
At the very least, it's I think the worst case is let me see. I keep forgetting Frank. No, wait. Frank. Sheen Chapman was Frank? No.
Yeah, I think so. I don't know. I think he might be.
Sheen. Well,
I have my DVD case around here somewhere. It probably says.
Well, I have the IMDb page. Do you want me to link it to you?
Yes, please.
I'll link you the IMDb page just in case you want to look up yourself. Yeah, he's the worst example for me, and I'm not saying that it hinders his performance. It's just you listen to the voice and you look at this guy, and he has such. I look at those eyes, and he has such a strong presence, but that voice just really doesn't match it.
Absolutely, it's a shame as well. I think it's in a way disrespectful to the actor. Yes, Sean Chapman plays Frank. The guy who plays Larry is the name of the dad, and he's played by Andrew Robinson.
Okay, I feel... How did I miss it right up there? I missed him. Wow. I keep forgetting Larry's name every time I watch this movie. Maybe, and they do say it quite often. And it's not out of disrespect towards the performance, because it's a good performance and it's a likable character. But maybe it's because
I think it's kind of what you said, isn't it? Is sort of like an everyman sort of schmo, so his name doesn't really seem important.
Yeah. And I know that some people would argue that that's a bad thing. No, it's a good thing that he comes off as a genuine person.
So I love Julia. These shots of her are incredible. She's like a prop. She's like Lady Macbeth or something. She's just fantastic.
And interesting in the novella, I think it was kind of hinting that something was in that room when the door shut suddenly, and I think she started to have a panic. But here, I think, like I said, like you said, rather, it's you take that away, and it actually is a more effective scene because of how just slow and quiet it is, and that silence brings a discomfort because you're just wondering what's going through her head.
And I do love these kind of scenes where she can't even like breathe. She's just remembering this intense affair. You know, it's I think it's very honest. It's just kind of right there. Where she's just like, even thinking about it, it's just like,
just giving,
you know, she's kind of completely consumed by it. It's this, you know.
And yeah, this is the scene. I think might be a bit ahead of you. The scene where Frank pretty much cuts her top off with a switchblade.
That's where I am now. I don't know if you're a few seconds.
A few seconds later than you. Yeah. The thing is here.
Yeah, there we are. It's just sliced it. Yeah.
The thing is here that I think that makes this scene hammer home the point of the pursuit of hedonistic pleasures. It's that, well, really, that's all she really wants from. That's what she seems to primarily want from Frank. Is that he brings that out of her, and later on we see her interacting with her husband, who's a nice guy, relatively nice guy, but he's so normal and he's safe, and I understand. I don't know. I don't think it's a good thing, but I understand that she's more interested in what excites her, and Frank brings out that excitement. This scene
absolutely.
This scene makes me cringe, by the way, and it's not even that good of an effect when his hand eventually brushes against that nail.
Yeah, I know, it is a bit unpleasant.
And
it's nice as well. It's a nice juxtaposition between the thrusting on the bed and him bringing the mattress up the stairs. You know, it's them sort of screwing on the marital bed, and you know.
Yeah.
And obviously the blood and everything. It's a nice kind of juxtaposition. That's gross.
Again, it's not even like it's just, I can just imagine how that would feel. I know we probably, when we're lifting things, had that happen to us when we don't mean to. I can just imagine that. Like I said, I do really like Sean Chapman's. I think for the inappropriate voice, his body language somewhat compensates for it.
Yeah, I kind of wish there was a cut. If anybody knows of a cut, please do let us know. I've never found it, but I do kind of wish there was a full cut of the movie with all the correct color grading and everything that had the original voices. That would be wonderful.
Very much appreciated. Yes. Why did he come up here to her for that?
I don't know, to be honest. I've never really questioned it. I think we were talking about that earlier. There are certain movies where things are just done to the point where you don't have to question them. I like this nice little Dracula reference here with the blood going into the sort of feeding him.
No, I think it's
old Hammer horror style.
I think it kind of fits into the going back to why he came up there. And you can make the argument that it kind of fits to the character where at times he seems a bit, not absent-minded, but a bit not too bright, and it kind of makes sense that he would come up there to just show.
I love that beating heart under the floorboards, I have to say.
Yes, this is to me one of the most effective and one of the best effects ever in cinema.
It's such a powerful scene, like the way he's born through the floor. It's just. And again, I think Clive Barker has this magic about him where it's not always about being scary. You know, it's not always about making you feel uncomfortable. It's just about doing something with a certain emotional punch, with a certain power.
Well, yeah. I think there's I don't know, you could even call this a horror movie. It's the elements of horror are presented more in a surprisingly casual manner.
Yeah, I think so. I'm very much influenced by this movie. I think it's had such an effect on me as a writer, the way it does present kind of normal, everyday people and these completely extraordinary circumstances.
Oh, here we go.
And, like you say, there's a kind of matter-of-fact, casual attitude towards them.
I think that's what makes it work when, some directors these days want to try and make it as over the top or as quiet as possible. But subtlety in it, but just presenting it in such a manner where it's just, yeah, here it is. I think that it touches more on the uncanny valley, and that's one of the more effective ways to make us unnerved.
I find the music here fantastic.
Yes, I give a lot of credit
to it.
I think
it takes something that's potentially grotesque, and it adds this majesty to it. The music adds a certain dignity to this scene almost, because I think under other circumstances this could be quite stomach churning.
Yeah,
it seems too fascinating with this music on.
I'm just imagining, yeah, it kind of works. I'm imagining this scene. Normally I always comment on certain movies where I think a scene might be powerful when there's no score in a certain scene, but this actually very much complements what's happening. And again, to me the stepping stone, or at least the mark stone for what practical effects should be, is still the John Carpenter's The Thing. But this is a close this is a close second.
Yeah, and considering this is a much lower budget.
Exactly.
I mean, they actually ran out of money making this, and some of the later effects in the film, the light effects, the sort of laser shots and things, were drawn on the film by Clive himself at sort of 4 in the morning.
I think it kind of
under the influence of lots of wine.
I think it kind of works, actually. Like and someone mentioned in the second movie where the lighting is much better because they have a better budget. It kind of hurts the film because we're getting, like, when we see Frank resurrected in later detail, and we don't get to see much. We see him in the shadows, and it's more gritty and it's more real. But having all the lights on where we can see all the flesh, and it takes away the kind of mystique that his presence has. And that's why I'm actually glad that there were some technical limitations, because it actually improves it to some degree.
Yeah, I think so. What do they say about the what is it? That's the mother. Something is the mother. I'm sorry. It's I should point out that in England right now it's 3 o'clock in the morning as I'm recording this. But what is it? That's the mother of invention. I can't even remember.
Well, give me a hint on this. Maybe I can help.
Doesn't matter anyway. It's an old expression. Something is the mother of invention. It basically means, like, when you have limitations, it makes you, like, use them to your advantage. I talked about this on Super Brit Pros when we were playing Silent Hill 2, about how the graphics are quite primitive, and they find a way to work that in the game's favour.
I love those.
I think in cinema that's often the case with a low budget. Something like this, or Night of the Living Dead, or the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. They find a way to make their budgetary shortcomings work in their favour, and that's why.
Are you talking about necessity, Mike?
Necessity, yes.
Yes. I thought you died.
Okay, then. I just thought I'd pop back in to give that little pointer.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
How these technical limitations, they use them to advantage, and then these films rise above the standard of your average low-budget film.
And it's
Because the real creativity behind them is they go, we haven't got the money to do this, let's find a way to do it, anyway, let's find another way to look at this.
And
Whereas people without vision...
There are some occasional exceptions, but when you give people with technology getting better and it getting easier to make movies, easier to make less practical effects are necessary because you can just use CGI. And I don't entirely hate CGI. I just think that it's a tool, it's a means of telling the story, and I think people are using it as a crutch, and it kind of shows with. This is a perfect example of making the best out, like you said, making the best out of what little you have. Oh, there it is. There he is.
That is... I love her reaction to this. It's just like backs into a corner.
I don't know what it is about, I think this effect is actually more effective than what we get later on with him being more whole.
I think because he's more rotten, that's why it's more gross.
Mm-hmm. The lack of a bottom lip where his teeth are jutting out just makes him seem... I don't know, it's just...
Later on he looks human, is the thing. Here, he just doesn't.
Again, the voice kind of hurts this because... I don't know who's doing the dubbing for the voice, it's just... He manages to be over the top at times and sometimes also be flat.
Yeah, I just don't think it's a great vocal performance.
I like his voice.
It feels quite rushed and undirected.
Help me.
Something that was, added in.
I will give them credit that at the very least it syncs up well.
Yeah, the lip sync's nice.
But that's the most.
I didn't even know for ages that was someone else's voice. Because the lip sync is very good.
I had to actually apologize then because I was actually saying that I didn't quite like his performance and it wasn't technically his.
Oh, yeah, don't get me wrong, I don't think it's a good vocal performance, I just think they did a good job of lip syncing. But, I would absolutely love to hear the original takes with Sean. I think those would sound fantastic. I think just from his body language, you can tell how good the performance is. Obviously, this isn't Sean. This is someone else wearing a suit. Someone much thinner than him wearing a suit.
Oh no, I think it just came to mind because you ever seen the movie Wishmaster?
I haven't actually. I'm gonna be a horror philistine for a moment. I haven't seen Wishmaster.
It's not really a philistine because most people haven't seen it, and it's a movie that wasn't rated well when it came out, and I think time has kind of rehabilitated everyone's opinions on it. It's a decent, relatively well-made horror movie that's kind of it pays a lot of shout-outs to classics of yesteryear, but the scene where he's crawling towards them, that reminded me of a scene from Wishmaster where the genie was originally resurrected and he was crawling towards a dying security guard, and it was almost the same effect, except his body was much smaller because he was weaker, and it was actually Vern Troyer in the suit right in that one scene, and I'm wondering if they did the same thing for the person here, because the way that the legs dragged along, I get the idea is that he's too weak to even walk right now, but at the same time it just looks I don't know if it's an effect or this person's just really good at crawling without using his knees. Either way, kudos. Oh god, I didn't even know it was that guy until the second time I watched this movie. What was it?
The Vagrant, yeah.
Yeah. Another great presence.
The guy who looks like Alan Moore.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the best way. I couldn't have put it better. No offense, Alan Moore. You're awesome.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic contributions to comic books, completely.
One day,
but he does look very silly.
Admit that you're a wizard. We all know it's true.
Yeah.
Oh god,
I do kind of like. I find this is quite, feminist, which is great. I'm a feminist myself, so I do like how she's the one kind of seducing him and stuff, and he's kind of like the weak, pathetic, impressionable guy.
I just don't.
And
he shows
I think that is quite true to life in some cases as well.
He shows up at the end of the movie too, and I just don't. It's not even like it's a bad performance. It's just I don't remember any single thing about him to the point where my subconscious is telling me, why is he even in here?
He is basically unnecessary, yeah.
But then again, he doesn't. His presence doesn't hurt the movie.
I love Julia here. Like that unsatisfied look on her face as she's just lying next to her husband.
And then you just
cutting to this, obviously, of course, with Frank, and then to Frank as he is now.
And it's kind of explored within the later scenes when she actually starts doing his bidding. I think it goes back to the hedonistic pursuit of pleasure and how it hurts you and eventually makes you numb to what you're doing. And the way that she just after a while, she panics at the first time she draws blood. And then after a while, you can see that she's coldly accepting this because there is some kind of perverse enjoyment she gets out of it. And once again, it goes with Frank. Frank is the one that's providing it for her. Which it kind of comes full circle. I don't get this scene. I really don't get this dream sequence.
I think this is like... This is very Clive, like the Clive Barker. This is typically the sort of nonsense he will put in a film that I'm sure means something to him.
But doesn't mean anything. It's like... It seems like...
I know this has something to do with, like, her... Like... Something to do with her biological mother and some kind of guilt attached to her death or something like that, but it's not actually explored in any of the sequels, so it's just kind of forgotten about.
It's not even explored. You would assume that this is a very... And don't get me wrong, in terms of setting and the sound of the... It sounds like an infant crying. It's an effectively unnerving scene. It's just...
Yeah.
At the very least, you would think that something so... One of the more focused scenes would actually have more present in the rest of the movie. One misstep from Mr. Barker.
What I find so frighteningly surreal about that scene is that she's having the nightmare, but the guy wakes up. You cut to the guy waking up from a bad dream, which is just really disorienting, I think.
I
also like that she probably screwed him and then made him sleep on the floor, which I think is very funny.
I never thought about that, actually. I thought it was separate beds, actually. Oh, well...
it looked like a blanket on the floor to me.
Your thought is funnier, so I'll go with that.
having been on the receiving end of that sort of treatment before.
Well, I'm sorry to hear that. Oh, I think... Wait, he can actually stand now? I don't know how much blood he's gotten. Whatever, that's a nitpick. And again, if there's one other thing I have to give credit for, it's the relationship between Christy and Larry here. Because there is
I think they're really good. She's obviously a daddy's girl, you know.
It's very likable. It makes Christy all the more likable. Because besides a good performance, Christy has... she does a lot. It's just that her presence is very surprisingly scarce in this movie in comparison to everyone else.
But she's very kind of sweet, like, and I had a massive crush on her as a teenager.
I can see why. Well, I'm closer to her age, so I don't know if I can say I do still and can get away with it.
I think it's okay to have a crush on her as she looks now. It's probably not okay to still have a crush on her as she was as a teenager.
I would say, and the funny thing is, she appeared again in the, what was it? I think in the fourth or the fifth movie, and the fourth movie kind of revolved around a supposed murder mystery around her, where her fiance killed her or whatever, and he was trying to hire the Cenobites to take her away. Which, if you're gonna do anything to try and cover up a murder, hiring the Cenobites to get rid of the body doesn't seem like the best idea.
They don't have a fantastic history of leaving, non-messy corpses.
And basically, I think the director kind of realized Christy was a well-liked character, and he decided to revolve around her essential revenge against it. And I hate to be spoiling the end of the movie, but that movie wasn't very good, so I don't mind spoiling the ending.
I think all of them, like, after after the second one, really. Like, the third one is campy fun, and then they're all bad after that. The third one's a bad bit of fun, sort of way. I love how unsexy these scenes are. Like, you've seen the absolute erotic power between her and Frank, and then you see this kind of wormy guy she's picked up in like a hotel lobby or like an airport or something. I didn't really quite pick out what it was, but like, I mean, the guy looks like he couldn't even. It looks like he couldn't even overpower her, you know, which I guess is kind of the point.
Yeah, that's a.
And Frank is this kind of red-blooded man, and it's nice. Yeah.
It really works for the scene, and I think, well, we mentioned Clive Barker is a very stickler for that kind of detail, and this guy's just so freaking pathetic. And I just love how good of a poker face she has for this. And again, the lighting. I don't even know this. The lighting.
Great, because like
just works so well here.
So much of
And I'm sorry if someone's bored.
It's really well lit.
I'm sorry if people are bored watching this, but there's.
Considering the like, obviously having worked with a.
You're breaking up slightly. Hello?
Yeah, I lost you for a moment there. Do you hear me at all? I'm still speaking.
Okay, I can hear you now.
Okay.
What were you saying?
Yeah, having worked with an extremely low budget myself, I know how difficult it is to get good lighting. Let's just talk about the lighting. And how would you hardly have any money lighting? Lighting is such an expensive, like, commodity in film, and working without a budget, without a proper budget, trying to do good lighting is so difficult. And yet these scenes are so expressionistic.
I just love her expressions every time he tries to kiss her. Just that, I swear I could have seen her roll. It's like her whole body conveys the message of rolling her eyes and just pity for this guy.
Yeah, like, and you don't even feel bad for him. You know, it's interesting. No. It's not like there's one guy later on who you do kind of feel sorry for. But this guy, I don't give two shits.
It's not even like he comes off. I wouldn't say it's because he comes off as a bad person, which I think that's already been implied somewhat well enough. It's that he's just so pathetic. He looks like he can't even do much, even if it were to defend himself.
Yeah, he almost seems like putting an animal out of its misery.
Yeah. And I know that's something that people kind of complain about. There's a level of emotional investment people don't have for... Okay, now, I think that... Yeah, the scenes where her hitting him with a hammer, I think
that shot with the teeth is, like, gratuitous.
I think he could have... I think Clive could have shot that scene a little bit better.
Like,
I actually commented that on one of your... what was your video? The zombie one? What was it? What was the name of it?
Oh, yeah.
In the comment,
Dead Walk.
The Dead Walk, and the problem with a hammer that's supposedly large enough to kill them with one hit, and it's how the body. You have to also bear in mind how the body's going to react to being hit like that. And I don't know, was that Toby in that video you had getting hit, or was that someone else?
Oh no, that was me getting hit.
Oh, really? That was you?
Yeah, that was me.
Yeah, there needed to be some kind of a slight cringe or a flinch before
about 4 years old now, so
yeah. Well,
I look back on that scene and I feel like I should have in a different way, like, reacted more. This is incredible. I'm sorry to break what you were saying, but this is an incredible moment when she's just in the bathroom. It's amazing.
Just staring at herself in the mirror.
Yes, that intense look on her face and the harsh white light.
And again,
because obviously there's all this expressionistic, creepy lighting in the attic, but then when she goes into the bathroom, it's like the harsh light of reality on her. Christ, that's hideous.
I've seen worse. I know that they never show what he actually does to the bodies. But I can only imagine what the process. Like I'm imagining either draining the blood completely dry or cannibalism. And
Yeah.
isn't that a face only even a mother couldn't love?
It's very.
And again, it goes back to what we were saying earlier. The lighting.
I think it's so interesting, this film.
The what?
Yeah.
I didn't hear you.
No, I was just saying about the way the film manages to blend the grotesque with the erotic so perfectly well.
And
like, it's all... Obviously, it's all blood, isn't it? It's all flesh and all this kind of veins on him.
I think I also like how it kind of shows in that scene where you look at him and you look at her, and again, symbolic value, and you can actually interpret the same thing just by looking at it. And here's Larry.
I love him coming in with like hanging up his coat and everything. Such a normal guy, whistling a merry little tune as she, tries to dispose of this corpse.
I just love his performance so much.
These scenes are lit so well by the shadow crosses the door there with the kind of bars as she's carrying the body. It's a nice image.
Yeah, it's funny, and
it's like domestic prison,
It literally dawned on me just now because we've been talking about how how pretty much how great this movie is, but for something the Cenobites are known as in pop culture, and they're referenced as horror icons, with Pinhead in particular. But when you really stop to think about it, they don't have a presence until near the end of this movie, and I think that's.
But it's a hell of a scene, though.
Yeah, I think people tend to forget about that actually.
I think I was talking the other day with a friend about, because in the pilot I've written, which well, that's not going to be. This video will probably be live before then, because we haven't started shooting yet.
Yeah.
I've written a pilot for a horror series, and there's a scene that's very much like that. The arrival of the Cenobites. It's a scene that has, although it has a lot of bearing on the story, it's an entirely new character in the scene with the regular characters, and the entire atmosphere of the piece completely changes. And I feel like I'm really influenced by this movie, and that scene in particular has always stuck out to me. When the Cenobites arrive, I've always just thought, wow, that's how you write, direct, shoot, and edit a scene and just nail it.
Well, I think it's a matter of the grandiose. Well, I think we can talk about that when that scene actually comes up. Back to the present. Sorry.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, I like the design as well, because we were talking about the sexual context and everything. But just in terms of the aesthetic, I think the design on Skinless Frank is really cool.
It's still that sense of vulnerability at the same time. It's the I don't know. It's the present. It's the inherent presence that he has, where it's. You're looking at him and he's talking so this is just a matter of fact to him, and it's generally just disconcerting. And the fact that he's to touch me, I want you to touch me, I want to feel, and no, thank you.
I like how he still has the power. He has so much power over her that even when he has no skin, there is still this seduction element.
And again, it touches on the theme of hedonism, because it's pleasure, and hedonism is not just pursuit of sexual pleasure; it's pursuit of pleasure in general. And
yeah, of course, it's gluttonous,
And her pleasure is he brings her pleasure, whether it's a matter of the rush that comes from her killing people, or just having sex in general, which I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon.
No, let's hope not.
Oh yeah, once again, and I'm sorry. The video I sent you was the audio is slightly off, and it's very prevalent here. And here's the hobo, or rather, what's he called?
I think he's referred to as the vagrant in the script.
I just don't. I don't really understand what his. what his presence here is like. What is he trying to do with? Is he trying to intimidate her, or is this just something that he does when she's not here?
I don't. Again, I think with I hate to use like a stock college boy kind of answer that doesn't mean anything, but I think that's kind of the thing with surrealism, and that's something Clive does teeter into quite a lot. It's sometimes something is there because it's an image, you know, and it's just kind of, it has a certain power. I think the image of a man eating these crickets and these locusts, which are kind of this image of decay and death and everything, it's just an interesting image.
I do
and
like
it's unsettling.
I do like and it's kind of brought home with him, his silhouette as he walks out the blinding light outside, and it's such a strong contrast between the two images.
This guy looks like a douche.
I think he did that on purpose. I can imagine Clive Barker having a call out. Let me see. Okay, I need to pick the guy who immediately conveys the look of douche. And
the guy that you're not going to feel bad when he gets murdered.
Yeah. That's gotta be an interesting
I love
thing.
how different she is here. Like,
you
saw her in the bathroom before, now she's just drying her hands like it's nothing.
Yeah. It's like she just
It's like become it's just become like an obsession for her now. It's like a second job, you know.
And here the scenes
it's like, this is what I do. I kill men.
She's one step away from smiling in this scene, I swear.
Yeah, I think so.
And again, I really do wish she had gone on to be the...
There's the smile.
I really do wish she had gone on to be the lead in here, because she has such a tremendous presence.
Yeah. And she's great in Hellraiser 2. If we end up doing Hellraiser 2, that'll be fantastic to talk about as well.
Not quite as
good,
but still, there's a lot going for it in terms of the performance-wise and some of the scenes. It's just the only problem is that the story is so it's just so.
Yeah.
It has the direction of the story is so muddled that it actually becomes a problem.
Oh, Hellraiser 2 is a complete mess, but I think it's an interesting film.
It's still enjoyable. I think people can make a good case on it. Oddly enough, Roger Ebert didn't.
It's a very different sort of film.
Siskel and Ebert didn't like either of these films.
No.
And you know, I have a lot.
It doesn't surprise me. I know that particularly Roger Ebert was not fond of excessive violence.
I understand, but like I said, the thing is, I don't like when people try to pretend it doesn't exist. And pain is a part of life, and you can't just whitewash.
And I think this level of masochism is true as well. You know, it's pointless trying to pretend that this is not the level. This is an entirely logical place for for hedonism to take you.
Yeah. I would say
I understand it's all very it's all a metaphor and whatnot, but you know, God, this design is so great. Who did the production design on this? Do you have the information in front of you?
Let me see. Dinnercast storyline details, box office. Did you know? Okay, did you know? Thank you. Thank you so freaking much. Damn it, IMDb! You're supposed to know everything.
Whoever did the production design, you are awesome.
I actually did.
This film has great production.
Are you talking about in terms of the special effects or just the lighting and everything in general?
Just the way the sets look. I mean, that attic set is beautiful with the one, light just sort of hanging down, and then him pacing up and down. The whole shot is beautiful. All of it. It just looks great. I think the sets are fantastic.
I need to try and...
Obviously,
where are you right now in the video?
I'm at the point where Frank is upstairs pounding on the wall, and they're downstairs watching boxing.
I do like the sort of theme. Like I said, it always ties into the theme. Pleasure, pain over pleasure, and in a way, we really have to ask ourselves what we do. Kind of take that route, even if it's someone else's pain. Like I said, I'm into professional wrestling, but it's essentially people hurting each other for my amusement. And that's the...
Yeah, I mean, just now we've seen Larry watching boxing.
Oh, God. God damn it. I'm lost on the video. Can you tell me what time you're at, specifically?
Certainly, hold on. I will if, exactly 50 minutes.
Okay, come on, hurry up. I need to catch up.
I'm just going to pause it on 50:07.
Okay, thank you. And let me explain before, because I forgot to explain for the wonderful viewers at home. I want you to do the brain scratch commentary format of doing it. There is a copy on YouTube. At the same time, if you can find a legal copy of your own, this video will be up, and you will be able to push play and count down with us. Well, we already did the countdown. I think we did that before we started recording, but whatever. Oh God, I'm sorry. I have to reload the page because my phone is messing up. You stay away from my food. I'm talking about
that is very professional of you, Vince.
I'll edit this out.
Oh, sure you will. In fact, I think you might be able to keep it in.
Why don't you go back to being not here?
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, man, I have to turn off my editing software because why are you rendering? Stop with that shit.
Wait, you were recording too?
No, I was editing another episode of Creepypasta.
Without me. Which one? What were you? Surprise me. What were you reading this time?
I've just closed it, so I forgot.
Sounds about right.
Oh Christ, what's it called?
God damn it! Hurry up.
Oh damn, I don't remember.
Oh crap! I'll just have to. I'll have to have it on mute though, but whatever. At least I'll be able to catch up. Hold on.
Alright.
I'm editing this all out, so
yeah,
I apologize. Okay, you said it was at 5:07? 5:07?
Yeah, 5007.
Okay, 1, 2, 3, now. I'm back. Sorry for the delay. If I actually am not a lazy bastard and actually cut that out, something messed up with my on my end, and I had to take care of it. But back to the
Minor
film.
technical difficulties. Yes, the storm. Nice touch.
I didn't actually notice it until I don't know. The lighting from the TV kind of confused me for a second. Although then again, unless something's attacking them from outside.
What it is about that window that's just so. What it is about that window that's so creepy.
Oh God!
You know, it's those rats on those nails there. I have an interesting little story about that's quite, you know.
Yeah.
That it involves rats hanging up. If you'd like to hear it.
Why not?
So, one time, a friend of. You there?
Yeah, I'm still listening. You were breaking up a bit, but I think people won't notice.
One time, a friend of mine was hiking. They're doing the coast-to-coast walk, which is like a thing that hiking people do. And farmers, they have this understanding with the people who do the walk. They leave like coolers of beer and soda and whatnot, and you put a little donation in, and you take the beer or whatever from the cooler.
Mm-hmm.
And well, she was walking through this one farm, and it stinks real bad. And so she opens up the cooler, and there's a rabbit's head inside.
Oh my God!
And then turns around, and on the wall, what's there but little rats with their eyeballs taken out and little marbles put in, nailed to the wall.
Oh my, Jesus Christ! You're going.
I love this voyeuristic scene here. This is so. Ugh. It reminds me of there's a scene kind of like this in Blue Velvet. It's a different context, but I love this whole idea of looking in through the closet. It's just. Ugh.
And you know he's already an utterly repulsive person, and now his appearance sort of reflects that. But something just the way he just walking just slowly towards them, and the rat. I never got what he's doing here. If he's just being an asshole.
Well, he's cutting the skin off, isn't he? Which is exactly what he wants to do to his brother.
I think he's trying to. That's his way of restraining himself from doing so, which is very messed up.
That's the fate that awaits Harry. Is he will be flayed
very painfully, and he will be dead. Oh, spoilers!
Spoilers, yeah. Of course, why on earth would you be listening to two guys talk about a movie that you haven't seen?
Huh. And if you don't plan on seeing this, then go away, because I don't. We've, as much as we've praises we've heaped on this, I would actually hope that I convinced you people by now.
Yeah.
And again, I understand there are some people that don't like this movie for the slower moments, but it's meant to bring for one thing, it's meant to actually draw out the character development, which is something that you want in these movies, because I don't think if you people know this, but if something bad's going to happen to a character, it's actually good if we care about something that potentially might happen to that character. Same with Frank. Same with Larry. We know that he's pretty much dead to me. We kind of get that feeling after Frank is reintroduced. But at the same time, one, with his relationship with Julie, and two, is just that he's just seems like a genuinely nice guy. I really wish he didn't die, and that's a good thing. And without the character development, you wouldn't get that.
I think so too. I think too many modern horror films. I think a lot of modern horror films. I say modern, but I mean anything really from sort of the slasher genre onwards. It becomes these really unlikable douchebag people, that you're just waiting for them to get murdered. Any of the Friday the 13th sequels, or even the first Friday the 13th, the Halloween sequels, films like Paranormal Activity, there's just these douchebaggy people. I couldn't give two shits about them. Whether they live or die means nothing to me.
Well, it's not even just, I would say, whether they're assholes or not. It's also a matter of whether or not they're actually interesting. Like, I've seen asshole characters that I still wanted to follow and I didn't want them to die simply because they were so interesting. But if you can't make them interesting, at the very least making them likable. Larry's not in the least bit interesting. That's kind of the point. But he's likable.
Yeah. See, this guy on the stairs here. Well, he's not on the stairs anymore, of course, but the guy who was just on the stairs.
Yeah.
The line, "I get lonely sometimes," I just think is the way he delivers it is so great. It's just, you feel so bad. This is the first time you feel bad for one of these people, because he's not like some creepy guy. This is obviously someone who's just, he probably has never gone home with someone he's met in a bar before.
Yeah.
And
it kind of,
he's obviously some big time loser.
Again, the way he kind of reacts to getting hit, I think he needed to maybe do one more take where he
the violence here seems very kind of visceral.
I do like the touch here. It seems like it's not even like he and Frank is angry at him for getting at Julie. It's that he threw her out of the way because she was in the way. You get what I mean? And it kind of goes to the point where he really doesn't care about. He really doesn't care about Julie.
You see the hand going to the back of the neck a little bit there. You don't really see it, but you feel like you do. And it's so grotesque. Like you wonder what on earth is he going to do, to get that last bit of blood out of him.
And Christy, again, she's actress here does a great job. It's just, it feels like a lot of this. It feels like a lot of things that happen in regards to Christy in this movie are a bit of happenstance. Like, imagine if she never actually started playing with what's the name of it? The puzzle. I forgot the name.
The lament configuration.
Yeah, the lament configuration. Imagine if she never actually started digging around with it.
It's the lament configuration.
I actually wanted a toy version of that.
Yeah.
I would actually like one.
Yeah. I'd really... they do a box set of the series that's that, but the problem is I'd have to own Hellraiser 4 onwards.
Well, you can just throw those in the garbage. Because that's all they're... Or you can use them as a good doorstop. You ever thought of that?
Just keep the box.
Yeah.
The incredibly expensive decorative box.
Or maybe just use them as placeholders for DVD cases that you've lost that you actually like.
Yeah.
Oh God, just wow.
That is repulsive.
I always question why he's hiding there, and then he just suddenly.
Oh, this is brilliant.
Again, I would.
So he can jump out and go boo.
Yeah. So
I love that he's wearing clothes now. It's just like, I know he was earlier. It's so creepy.
Okay, what was your contingency plan here, man? Okay, I'll just talk to her, and I think she'll understand. Or unless he was trying to lure into a false sense of security to kill her, which is very likely. And then again,
this is incredibly disturbing as well. The whole "come to daddy" thing.
Yeah,
obviously knowing what's going to become of Larry later on.
Yeah,
it was very perverse.
Not just, well, like you said, I think it kind of goes with I think he's more shockingly. Well, it's not that he's more interested in Chrissy; it's that he's still a hedonist, and he sees Christy as hey, that's an attractive girl. I don't care if she's my niece, which is very disgusting. But you know, it works in the movie's favor.
Yeah, it kind of gives her a little bit of motivation as well to kind of continue, because obviously you're not really following her; she's just an incidental character.
Yeah.
And suddenly she's kind of pushed into the kind of protagonist mantle.
Well, would you say this film technically does have if she's not the primary protagonist? Well, technically, you can make a case that the Cenobites kind of count as that too. Because
I think yeah, there's a lot of interesting characters, but I don't think any one person can be called the protagonist of this piece.
I think it's more explored in the. Oh, hello, random nuns. I think it's more explored in the book, where it's the relationship between the Cenobites, where they warned Frank more than once that our idea of pleasure is not necessarily like yours, and you think you felt everything, but you really haven't felt what we dish out.
Yeah.
And they come off as more. They really don't. They get summoned often, and they don't care who summons them. They're just doing what they're doing. You know, you summoned us, you asked us to be here, so obviously, yeah, you do want this. But we're only gonna say right now, it's not. You better damn well be prepared for it, because we don't want to hear any complaints. And that's how they do kind of come off like that here. But with them double crossing Chrissy at the end, it really kind of hurts that point. I like the idea, like even the line, "We are demons to some and angels to others." Oh God. I'm gonna have to cut out a lot there. I'm at 1 minute, 1 hour, 1 minute, and 1 second.
I'm actually at 1 hour and 19 seconds, I think.
Oh, okay. I think I was a little bit too late in pausing. I'll rewind to where you are.
Okay.
I'm gonna have to do some heavy cutting. 1 hour and 17 seconds, you said?
19.
Okay. Let me see. I legitimately forgot what I was saying. Oh, in regards to the Cenobites, I think. I think it kind of hurts their presence. And welcome back, everyone. Technical difficulties, and I'm gonna have probably add some transition in there again.
Okay, so we're counting down.
3, 2, 1, play. And back to what I was saying about the Cenobites. I think the choice to have them double cross Christie at the end kind of hurts the point of them, like with the line "angels to some, demons to others," where they're more indifferent to mankind than anything else.
I like this shot with the flower. Just thought I'd point that out. I think with Kirsty, it's they sort of are quite interested in her, and she seems like fun to them. So I think Kirsty has a certain desire, you know. I think they kind of hint at in this and the second one, and it's kind of something they should have continued through the series if they'd have been made by competent filmmakers after number 2. That
God forbid.
That, you know, she has a certain interest in the Cenobites, and it's no coincidence that she keeps running into them.
I think that's kind of explored a little bit in the 4th movie. I think that's the one where her husband attempting to kill her and she summoned her.
No, the 4th movie is the one in space.
Oh, okay. I think it was either the 6th or the 5th movie then.
I got a huge problem with the 4th movie, and I'd like to address that while we have time.
Alright, go ahead.
Because not much is happening right now, so I just want to point out, I hate it with the 4th movie.
Well, Dr. Awesome Mustache is here.
His nose is amazing more than his mustache. He actually looks like he's wearing a prosthetic nose. He looks like Lando Calrissian is wearing one of those disguises you get as a kid with the glasses and the nose.
I actually did look him up to see if he was anything else. I think he was in one TV show at most.
But yeah, something in Hellraiser 4 that really pissed me off, right? Yeah. So it's established in Hellraiser 2 that the head Cenobite, played by Doug Bradley, was pulled into the Lament configuration sometime after the First World War. In the 4th movie, we see this like Queen of the Labyrinth escape the Lament configuration during like the Renaissance, or during or it may be later than that, but it's definitely way before World War One.
Yeah.
Those effects there drawn in by Clive Barker himself. Yet he knows her and calls her princess, and it's hinted that they had some kind of romance together.
Well,
they would have never met because she would have left the world of the books years before he ever went in there. I'm just saying.
I'm willing to wager that the director of that movie didn't even see the previous films, or at the very least didn't give a fuck.
Yeah, it was a complete piece of crap.
I do kind of like how they play out this scene right here with her messing with the box, because there is
this is great. It comes up and spins.
Yeah, it's not just that. It's
my god!
It's because there is something that someone okay, the effect of the wall pulling apart is I don't like that webbing thing.
Really, I love it. I love the way it looks like spider webs. I think it's really intense.
I think it works, but then it disappears. I think they should have been shown a little bit consistency there, and that's me nitpicking. But for a movie that's very strong on detail, I would have hoped that Clive Barker would have took notice to that.
Yeah, I like how this entire little like sequence here is like a demo reel for the second movie.
Yeah, Leviathan. What was his name? Not Leviathan. It's the engineer in this movie. That's what he's called.
Yes, the engineer. Yes, who you can see the dude operating him.
He barely has any.
This is a really bad puppet. Actually, they had like no money left apparently at this point, and it really shows. Like the puppet looks atrocious. The set looks great. The lighting's amazing. The puppet hilarious.
Well, the scene does have some tensity in the. I think Clive Barker tried to compensate for the terrible effect with the score and the sound of the engineer, his teeth clattering, and the sounds it was making.
It's very well edited, this scene as well. Like it's suddenly there and things like that. It's very much like I think part of the reason again, like Hellraiser 2 kind of feels like this one sequence is that it's like a really bad dream.
Yeah. Because
it's so weird and just uncomfortable.
I do like if I had to give credit, the shot of the silhouette of the monster actually is more effective than the effect itself, actually.
Yeah.
But it's still, the silhouette is the sudden, because you don't know what it is. And as far as you know, it could be something terrifying, and this would be terrifying to encounter in real life, but, yeah, you can tell by the shots, Clive Barker was trying as much as possible not to show the actual thing in full.
Yeah. For certain shots, you can see there's like a couple of wheels and like a dude pushing it. It's a shame.
Well,
I like how it's just gone now. There's no hole in the wall or anything.
Well, that's what you call a big-lipped alligator moment. If it wasn't, it didn't show up later in the movie. I do love this.
Yeah.
This sequence is amazing.
This is perfect. In fact, I'm probably gonna be quiet for a moment.
Oh, the walls! I love that.
I think this was the moment I fell in love with this movie.
Same for me. I have to say, the music, the thing that kind of caught my attention the very first second was and it's a simple effect. It's what happened with the wall, and the smoke starts seeping through the cracks.
Yeah. I said the room just filled with this wind, as well as the smoke. The fact that her hair's blowing around, and there's like this indoor wind. It's so surreal.
And here's Chatterer, who became quite popular.
Yeah. And here's Pinhead, brilliant.
Again, if Doug Bradley if it had been anyone but Doug Bradley, I don't think Pinhead would have had as much of a following as he did. Butterball, funny enough, Butterball was actually a head honcho in the original novella, right?
Yeah, I believe so.
Kind of looks, and someone mentioned that that's a really mean joke. Someone said that, CeeLo Green was in Hellraiser.
I can see the resemblance. I have to be honest. This girl with the neck vagina, that was Clive Barker's cousin, and
really?
he felt really uncomfortable shooting her with especially with the rubbing it and everything, and he recast her in the sequel because he was too uncomfortable with it.
Well, that makes it all the more funny because they call her the female, and that's all that we really know. But the production design, I think the crew called her to remember her deep throat.
Yeah, I've heard that referred to as deep throat.
Which is kind of messed up, seeing as that's the person who's making the movie. That's his cousin. So,
yeah.
I don't think you're trying to make a quick enemy there.
I think for a long time I just knew her as Minge Neck.
Oh, I think that works better actually. In more detail in the novella, with her detailing how she was mutilated, it goes into graphic, like she was much more sexual, and it's weird using the word sexual to describe what was such a horrific sight, but essentially, like, I think severed penises laying in front of her. I think either strapped around her waist. And it was going into great detail of how her ovaries were mutilated and visible.
Yeah, I do remember the novella, because they actually takes you into their world when Frank first opens the box, of course, and it kind of describes how his nerve endings all kind of feel like they're being stimulated at once and stuff. But it is very kind of erotic in its own way. I mean, they are all the leather and everything, and the mutilation of the flesh. It's all very kind of sadomasochistic.
I think it was brought up in there was I would highly recommend this, by the way. It was a DVD I have, The History of Horror, as narrated by Christopher Lee. And one of the segments they brought up was a segment when they were talking about the Cenobites. They wanted to go for a dark elegance with them, and they come off as some of nobles of some kind, but despite all their extreme afflictions, like there's
I think having Shakespearean performers helps that a lot. It really does, especially with all these naturalistic actors, and then you've got Doug Bradley, who's oh no.
I really do love Doug Bradley. One shame though is actually they're talking about, and I really wish they weren't. A potential for a Hellraiser remake, and they actually contacted Doug Bradley and they said that they will want him on board, and he thought about it and he's taken it in consideration. And bear in mind, Doug Bradley actually refused to go along with what was it?
Was it Revelations?
I think it was Revelations.
Revelations was just about the least creative title ever. You may as well call it Chronicles.
Exactly.
It's just.
Well, they're taking a page.
But that was basically a remake anyway. It was a film that Dimension Films made to keep the license, and Christ, it was bad.
It was offensively bad, especially It's like they read a synopsis and read about the themes, and they thought that, well, let's do it our way, with no subtlety.
Yeah, the acting was.
They actually tried to touch on the theme of hedonistic and the pursuit of pleasure again in that movie, but it's not really so much as a theme, it's actually a plot point. And if it's only in the movie for the purpose of servicing the plot, like the more she saw the box, the more that she became sexually active for some reason. And it didn't fucking work that way. Just terrible.
Oh, this is so grim.
I just love how she doesn't seem to. Well, I guess you would assume that most likely that it was him fighting off Frank. Again, this comes up in the later movie. How the fuck did he put that skin on? And
I don't know.
And I would have passed it off as something that he could just do, and I wouldn't mind that so much. In the second movie, Christy does the exact same thing, wearing the skin as a suit, and you can't really whitewash it then. Then again, like we said before, the second movie is tremendously flawed. Very, very fun to watch, though, I'll say that much.
Oh, I'd absolutely love to do Hellraiser 2 at some point. Probably at a decent hour of the day.
Again, I keep forgetting what time you wake. I don't know, you people in England land. I'll hold off.
Yeah.
I'll hold
it's
off.
5 minutes. It's 5 minutes to 4, and in a few hours, I have my girl and my son coming over. So I should after this. So.
Oh yeah, you have. I keep forgetting you have a life outside the internet.
Yeah, I know. Who'd have thought it? Like, my life doesn't begin and end with creepypasta.
Well, so your name isn't exactly what your YouTube name is? You do have more than one name?
No. This is true. I actually have a surname and, like, middle names and stuff.
Amazing. Yeah, I should be talking about what's in front of us.
I like how Larry is in this scene. Like, well, it's not really Larry, of course, it's Frank, but the kind of little looks on his face. He's so different in this scene to how he acts for the rest of the movie. His acting style here is so completely different when he's playing Frank.
You would assume that it's the same person. Just so sleazy, and at the same time, there's no real subtlety in his performance, and I don't mind that for the most part. It's kind of works, but okay, I like the effect right here where pressing down on his skin, and it just sticks that way. And it kind of hammers in how just you just know that it's just not right, whatever he is. I just love how she'd just show this to her. I know it doesn't really matter because there probably would have been planned on killing her either way, but still. Oh god.
They are too cool.
I just love the way he says this line too.
You're fucking badass.
Okay, who did this shit? Come on. Spill it.
It's the rage. It's like how personally they take it. I don't like how in Hellraiser 3 they made, I hate calling him Pinhead because that wasn't his name then, but they made him evil.
Well, yeah, it's again. Doug Bradley did a great job in that, but it's where I'm not. We know you're not speaking on the performance. We're speaking on the character and the direction they wanted to take him. And I think they kind of missed the point of what the Cenobites were and where they were. They exist. They exist. They don't. They're not good. They're not evil. And really, if you summon them to try and ask any of them, whatever they do, you kind of bring on yourself.
Yeah, but they're not there to like destroy, and like the way they've got him like maniacally laughing and stuff. Like you wouldn't see him crack a smile in this movie.
Because he's, like I said, it kind of works. He's very indifferent. Just don't fuck with what we do, and don't bother.
Yeah, so, he is very kind of regal and dignified, and him laughing like Freddy Krueger in Hellraiser 3 is kind of embarrassing.
Fun fact, because you said that and it reminded me. In the end of Jason vs. Freddy, the one ending that they actually wanted to do was Jason and Freddy going into hell and still fighting, and they would meet up with Pinhead, who would say to them, "Gentlemen, what seems to be the problem?" Because they wanted to do.
Yeah.
And
I remember reading that.
No disrespect to those two franchises, but Pinhead really doesn't fit into something like maybe you can make some case for Friday the 13th, but I mean not Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street, but not Friday the 13th.
The thing is, the word Hellraiser I think is misinterpreted, and the dimension they come from isn't at least originally in the series supposed to be hell. It's just a word they use because Hellraiser obviously is another word for a hedonist. So,
well, I think it works because
it's a nice play on words, and that was kind of the thing. But it's not actually hell.
Wasn't it kind of hinted at that they just let people call it hell, and it's not really what it is?
Yeah.
Because
in the second film, it's referred to as the labyrinth, isn't it?
Yeah, angel. Like I said, the line in this film kind of works into that. Angels to some, demons to others.
Yeah.
And again, I would actually think it would be fascinating to see if, in the hands of a director that would, maybe in the hands of Clive Barker himself, and I would like to see Clive Barker and Wes Craven working together on this one, because Wes Craven knows how to work Freddy. Nightmare on Elm Street and Hellraiser crossover. It would be extremely difficult because you'd still need to touch on the themes that Hellraiser puts forward. But at the same time, I think Clive Barker will be and Wes Craven working together will be able to pull it off.
I think at least the dream logic of Nightmare on Elm Street is very Clive Barker.
Yeah.
You know, Candyman is such a dreamlike experience.
Oh god, I forgot all about Candyman actually.
Candyman's more like a dream than a movie, you know.
Yeah. Fun fact: the actor who played the Candyman in that movie, and I already told you
Tony Todd.
Wishmaster. He was in Wishmaster 2, playing.
Really? He's one of my favorite actors.
And so is one of the actors.
He's a Shakespearean actor as well, isn't he?
Oh really? I think I actually did look that up. I have random moments where I search on Wikipedia.
That's repulsive. That's
why is it?
That is excessive to the point of ridiculous.
I'm just wondering why he just stuffed it in there. But then again, where is he gonna put it?
It's like that bit with the maggots is so grotesque. It actually is funny.
You gotta give her credit for not screaming.
Yeah.
Because I would.
I've got maggots on me, but that guy is gonna rip my skin off.
And that kind of going. This film can't, because people like to lump Pinhead in one like slasher villains, and with the later movies you could make that association if you kind of turn it around a little bit, but it's not really so much here. And Christy is somewhat of a reflection of that. She doesn't come off as a damsel in distress. She comes off as a victim of circumstances. And again, this one scene I do think that she should have thought this through a little bit better. I guess he's gone now. And Frank's just gonna stroll up here. And
so
again,
creepy.
And again, this kind of relies on a slight contrivance of him just happening to walk in on and blame him for him. And like, yes, I, Frank, have killed him.
Yeah, it's very much like in I can't believe I'm making this comparison because this is actually a good story. But like in Jeff the Killer, when we were making fun of it, when I was making fun of it on the show.
Yeah.
When they're just like, yes, I was the one who got your brother sent to juvenile hall.
And there's.
I'm just like, why would you say that in front of all these witnesses?
Well, again, at the very least, I don't like that kind of cliche, and it's a tired cliche where the villain is about to win, so I must taunt now. But again, at the very least, it fits with someone like Frank, who's you can see in the early scenes he's very smug, and he would do something like that.
Yeah, he's not exactly an evil genius.
He's just some asshole who, I love the chain motif too.
This is seriously masochistic, this scene. The way he licks his lips and everything.
Yeah.
It's like,
Jeez.
I remember reading a thing about how the censors were just so bothered by that when it came out.
That just, well, it's not just that. I remember and I can only imagine how horrible. I'm wondering if they did the same thing in the book that they did here, where they kind of made his senses go into, like he didn't like small things like the food between his teeth drove him insane with from what's the word sensory overload. And so we can only imagine what the pain must have felt like with the hooks. In fact, I'd rather not.
There is, yeah. There is a sexuality to it, isn't there? With the licking of the lips and everything.
Yeah.
And I think that's quite amazing, the way they actually have the gall to kind of take that there, you know? That this isn't just about suffering, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, they are getting, you know, essentially it's revenge, but there is a kind of sexuality to it.
Well,
it's a weird film, and this is a weird scene. You know, it's a weird climax.
One of the most excellent death scenes, I would say. Like right there, you saw him smiling, right?
Yeah.
It's like you can either interpret that as him not wanting to give them the satisfaction of seeing him scream, or there is still part of him that actually does find some kind of pleasure in this. Oh God, the one in his back. Okay, this is horrific. At the same time, I find myself laughing at this face. Jesus, what?
I think he laughs. That's so gross.
Again, give credit to the actress playing Christy. She's just amazing in that scene.
Yeah, it's very intense. I like the way the light's bouncing around as well. That's very kind of dreamlike, and you know, the way sometimes in dreams, light is just unusual. And it's just the wall starts bleeding, and she's kind of, you know, it's a weird movie. I'm like losing. I was 4 in the morning. I'm losing my ability to think coherently when I talk.
Oh well, we're almost done. Don't worry about it. Okay. Oh, the lament configuration. Awesome. Why is she holding it? Why did they give it to... I don't know. I'm just asking a lot of... I'm nitpicking more near the end.
Did he leave it with her when he stabbed her?
I don't remember, actually. Maybe. I think that's one of those things that can... Well, she's chained on the bed now. So maybe they did things with her. Oh, God. I wish I didn't say it like that. And I love this line.
Oh, that's an amazing shot.
That's such an oh shit line.
That's such a trailer moment.
What would you say to that, really? I remember someone on Blips complained that despite being the obvious leader of the Cenobites, that Pinhead was the first to be sent. And I don't really mind it all that much. I do get from a dramatic standpoint, while it will be upsetting. But
yeah.
Again, he wasn't.
There's a fantastic gag with the fat one. I don't know if it's already been on, and I've missed it.
What is it?
It's one of the. I'll see if it comes up, and if I've missed it, then I'll mention it.
Right.
It's one of the funniest things because it's so out of place. They're trying to add a little like funny moment in to this really intense scene, and it just seems so out of place.
Oh, here comes random, uninteresting boyfriend man to sort of save the day.
To come in and sleep on the floor.
Yeah, exactly. Seriously, why do you even need to be here? Oh, hey, Chatterer. I just imagine him putting that on the dick with her. And again, he has a great presence. I think either because he doesn't say anything, and you can only imagine what was probably done to his face to make it.
Here it is. Here's the gag. I just think that's wonderful. That he takes the glasses off and his eyes are stitched up.
They kind of whether he died here or not, or I don't think it really matters. Seems like a very anticlimactic way for someone with such a. Again, I have to give a credit, even for what is essentially a minor character, very minor part. He doesn't even get a speaking role. You always remember what Butterball looks like.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, you remember what this guy looks like.
Such a cheap effect. But I like the design, though. I do appreciate what they tried to do.
This is really silly right here. No, it's mine. This is just shuffling for the element configuration, and it just looks so silly. Again, I don't blame him for technical limitations. For like you said, it's a good design. It's just not fully realized. I can't help but wonder what it will look like with a bigger budget, though. Maybe pulsating veins, or
They shot some footage for Hellraiser 2 with a much better puppet, but it didn't end up in the movie. I think there are photographs, but no actual video available.
oh. It's like he's just spooning the energy into his mouth with his hand. I don't know, I always like that kind of effect where it's 2D, like, I don't know, it makes it look all the more surreal for me. Instead of like 3D energy crackles. It's kind of hard to explain. And one thing that kind of confused me, was there a fire set at any point in this movie? Or near the end? Because I can't really remember.
I do not know.
And at the end, the house burns down. Like, in fact, it looks like it's raining right there. Oh wait, that's just the. Oh wait, it is raining.
Yeah, it's raining.
Where'd the fucking fire come from? Symbolism! I notice how I just stopped like I'm getting less and less into compliments and I'm just making fun of it more.
I think this is a fantastic ending.
I do too, but again, if I had to...
For the first time I saw it, I'll be honest, like, as a teenager I found myself just very confused and a little frustrated by it. But the more I watch it, the more I kind of appreciate the imagery and everything.
I think that's everyone that watches this film for the second time.
I find that the endings of the trilogy, though, get increasingly more pretentious. Until you get the ending of Hellraiser 3 when they bury it under foundations, and then the building has giant artwork that looks like the living configuration.
Again, I have to stress, and I understand they want to get rid of this so no one ever finds it. And they even address this in the second movie. It's not coincidence that draws them its desire. And you're using this...
which again goes for they're not evil aspect. Because they don't kill the little girl who summons them.
I just love... Yeah, that's effective in itself. The fact that he's on fire and he just doesn't really give a fuck. I'm trying to do my job, I guess.
Just turns into this enormous skeleton dragon.
That's a nut.
They couldn't get to fly, so instead they just cut to this camera. It's very clever. It really feels like it flies away.
Yeah. Well, like I said,
of course, we've come full circle.
Are those dead roaches there? I think they are. I think the dead roach is on the table.
I didn't see. It's a pretty low res, the video, so it's hard to tell.
I'm kind of wondering whether or not because when I saw this the first time, I thought this was a vision that Frank saw, and then I realized that was a different person.
Yeah, so what's your pleasure, sir? It's a great closing line.
I also always wonder what the Chinese man had to, or what he ever had to do with it. Like, is he in line with them, or does it just always coincidentally end up back with him? I know there are comic books that kind of delve further into the world of Hellraiser. I haven't read most of them myself. I tried reading one of them, and it started off decent, and it was just so over the top because they immediately show the Cenobites, and I don't like when they do that. But yeah, that was Hellraiser. Closing thoughts as the credits are going by.
It's still one of my favourite movies. I've seen it so many times now. It's the kind of movie, I hope I made some good points. Obviously I'm very tired, but it is the kind of movie you can discuss quite extensively. It's a pretty layered film. It's got great production design, great acting, pretty good special effects for the most part, interesting story, and I think it's aged fairly well. You know, most of the effects look good. The story still holds up. It's a little slow, I think, for some modern viewers, but I still really like it, and it's my favourite in the series.
As for me, and I share most of your sentiment, and I would like to make a comparison point right now to a film that's also known for having extreme gore in it, and that's a film, Cabin Fever. And I'm making a comparison. I'm saying this to make a point, and I respect Roger Ebert and Roger and Siskel and Ebert very much and I understand where they were coming from, but I have a general opinion that violence in cinema is not necessarily some necessity, but it's depending on the movie. If it works, and there has to be a reason for it. Hellraiser to me is like it's the one movie I go to whenever I need to offer that as an example, because the themes behind it and everything, like I can't really say much that isn't just repeating you, but essentially I just, it's a really damn good movie, and it touches on themes that aren't really talked about anymore in horror movies. And with it seems as though the focus isn't even to frighten the viewer, it's just to tell the story. You understand what I mean?
Absolutely, and that's been a huge influence on me in my last movie and in the movie I'm working on at the moment. Definitely, I used horror themes, but didn't want to be scary. I wanted to just use horror as a way to actually tell a character-based drama. And Hellraiser is a huge thing for me. I have that to thank for a lot of what I'm doing now. So thank you very much for having me to talk about one of my favourite movies.
Great having you. I always have. Video quality goes up when I'm talking to someone with a British accent. I'll never stop making the British jokes, never. But yeah, I really thank you very much for being here. It kind of counterbalances my constant stuttering, which I'm still trying to work on. Stop to not do that anymore. But talk to you. I will legitimately stop after the videos is done. Everyone, go over to MichaelLeroi. I'll just put your name in the description, or just put it up like you do with me. Go over to his channel, subscribe, and just to mess with Damien, even though he doesn't have any videos, subscribe to his channel as well, even though he hasn't really said anything.
You know what? Fuck you two!
You didn't say anything the entire time, and I appreciate that you didn't watch the movie, so you didn't say anything about something that you couldn't watch. But yeah, go to him, and yes, he's been here the whole time too. Subscribe to him too for no reason. Well, I don't know what you're getting upset with me for. You're gonna have more subscribers before you even start making videos. You said you plan on it. This is Vince 12 signing out, and this is you can do the outro for my thing. I don't really have an outro.
Okay, Okay, thanks very much for watching. I'm Jacob Sherwood, aka MichaelLeroi. Check me out, because I'm amazing. Thank you very much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, of course. And we'll be seeing you very soon with some brand new content, so watch the space.
Bye-bye.